If you go to a marijuana dispensary, there's one criticism among some consumers, and it's the fact that marijuana has become a little too strong. So let's say you're a parent and you had a very long day at work and you want to smoke marijuana, consume marijuana, but do so in a way where it feels like you just had a glass of wine, not like you just smoked a very strong indica and you just want to be on couch lock, right? It's really hard to find that because a lot of times you can't find it. A lot of times the quality of marijuana is dependent on how strong it is. So Slate had this great piece and it was written by Emma Morris, and she basically says, you know, as states start to legalize marijuana for recreational use, there will be a market for people who are looking for a less strong strain of it.
That's a great idea. I mean, you've got an underserved market that's not being served. Then you should actually absolutely create a product that is for that underserved market. I mean, I think that's why, for example, let's say new media is doing so well. It's an underserved market that, you know, Young Turks, for example, is stepping into. So that, I think, is a fabulous idea. It also is a good justification for taxing and regulating, because then you can have these more scientific strains that are I'm trying to think of a good way to put it, but you have basically the more important attention is paid toward creating a product that meets a lot of different guidelines and standards. So I think it's a fabulous idea.
Yeah, I think regulation is the most important part of legalizing marijuana, because a lot of times if you're buying marijuana from the black market, you don't know what you're going to get. Is it a sativa? Is it an indica?
Is it laced with PCP, which I think was something that somebody had said was possible like 10, 15 years ago. They're like, oh, you can't do that because you can't make sure that it's pure.
That's crazy. People would, isn't that more expensive?
I would think so.
Wouldn't drug dealers have like an incentive to not do that?
I don't know, but I love that throughout this story you've been like casually dropping your pot lingo, like throughout, just sprinkled all over it. What was it about couch lock before? I wasn't familiar with that.
Stories. They talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks for reading
I
our
skimmed.
stories. Yeah.
No. I focus mainly on the Louis C.K. part because so I, you know, now where I get my info about drug habits is mostly from comedians and sitcoms and stuff like that. So I love that he also went through the experience of smoking when he's younger, takes a couple decades off, and he comes back, and the stuff just makes you go insane. But the part about this story that I enjoyed the most, and that I think is going to be the most appealing to you, are the different flavors or smells of the marijuana.
All of a sudden, we can be like pot connoisseurs, where it's like, oh, I see hints of blueberry and like whatever. That's crazy,
well, this
right?
guy says that, you know, his the story is basically a guy whose brother is a weed scientist, and so his brother, who works in Seattle, is saying, "Ooh, dude, you got to smell this. This is lemon haze," and he's like, "Oh, it smells like lemon. Oh, here's some blueberry cheesecake. Ooh, it smells just like blueberry cheesecake. Mangoes, you know." So with legalization, I think we'll see an explosion of science.
And I was about to say, it's like a calorie-free way of eating or tasting cheesecake, except it's not really calorie-free because after you smoke it, certain things happen with your appetite.
Well, sure.
Yeah, I definitely had not known that there were like the different flavors and things infused in it. And I think that it would be great if we got to the point where that was true and it wasn't BS like in wine, where they tell me that, oh no, this one totally has hints of chocolate. That's not chocolate. That's nasty red wine. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, then, and maybe we'll get to see, you know, like he's talking about, well, people will find out that they want something that's, you know, 25% THC and 10% myrcene, which I don't know how to pronounce it, but the idea that we'll actually get some specifics about it.
Label it.
It's like, the labels. I'm very, very interested in the labels.
Yeah,
so you know what you're going to get.
Or
That's
what
really
that
important.
means, you know, because there's like crazy strains that they have named here, and then the idea that you can find out, oh, well, I like this because its ingredients break down. You have an ingredient bread, that might be pretty cool.
Another really interesting thing is, okay, so there are two different types of marijuana, and then three technically, but there's sativas, indicas, and then hybrids, right? And back in the day, you would be able to buy one or the other, or you could buy, you know, the hybrid. But right now, it's really, really hard to buy either a sativa or indica. Most growers do hybrids. So that's another really interesting thing. You know, maybe if we regulate it, we can find a way to make sure we can separate it, we can do testing. Like the pot scientist sounds ridiculous, right? Why are you laughing?
I love that like this whole thing is like, God, I hope that my pot buying in the future is like way easier to regulate and manage because I know exactly what I want. It's so hard in the LA market to get what I want.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just looking out for some of our viewers that might like to do recreational marijuana
Can
smoking.
we get a close up on her eyes? I think I see some red there.
Wait, what? But also for all of the people that are unfortunately in states, unlike California, Colorado, and Washington, that don't have access to recreational or medicinal marijuana, I guess they're just going to have to suffer and hope that somebody in their state decides to legalize this, because it's really stupid. I mean, we talk about how stupid the war on drugs is and how that feeds into the private prisons pipeline. This is a fun story, but it still has a serious undertone to it.
Absolutely.